Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Third, and this week on Mixing Wednesdays, something shocking. Something that has never ever been done before on this channel. I am going to be speaking about Waves plugins that I actually use. No, it's not clickbait. It is true. I'm going to be showcasing 5 Waves audio plugins that I still use to this day, and actually 4 of them that I actually used on my new single, Unnaturally True, that came out on Friday. If you do like the sound of it and you do want to see kind of my mixing processes behind it, then you can maybe consider clicking that join button, becoming a Mixing Wednesday member, and you can get access to the video as well as other stuff as well. Or you can join the Patreon campaign and help fund all of the analog versus digital shootouts that I do, because again, I have to put my own money into like mix analog and access analog and stuff, and I've also bought some gear as well. But the Patreon isn't just only for the analog versus digital. I do give you a lot of extra content as well, which is going to come in the forms of the mix breakdown as well. But however, I get it, not everybody's going to want to click the join button or the Patreon button, right? I totally get it. So I still thought I would give you a video for all my subscribers, which comes in the form of this video here, which is 5 Waves plugins that I genuinely use, 4 of which I actually used on the mix. And I'm going to show you some examples where possible as well. Because you know what, guys? As much as I have kind of strong feelings about their update plan and their analog emulations, so I feel that they genuinely can make them better, and I don't feel that they stand up to a lot of other plugin emulations, they still make very good tools, okay? There's still lots and lots and lots of Waves tools that have been getting used for years and years and years, and there's nothing wrong with them. And I'm going to show you the tools that I still use to this day, because you know what? They're handy tools. Tools are tools, regardless of who makes them. If it works, it works. So let's get into it. Right, okay, number 1 is the Renaissance Axe Compressor, which is actually quite a very old Waves compressor plugin. Now, the way that I like to use the Renaissance Axe is to compress my DI guitars before I go into any amp simulations. For me, I want to tighten up the guitars, so when I go into an amp sim, even though again many people say there's elements of compression going on in the amp sims, to me it's just, I just prefer to have that tightness going into the amp sim. And what I think is fantastic about the Renaissance Axe is that the compressor settings are like intuitively set up for guitars, and the harmonics is just kind of low to mid-range harmonics, right? You're not going to get any aliasing in the plugin, which again, you all know I'm an aliasing freak, because as you can see here, it's right from like 20 hertz all the way up to like 2.5K. So not only are you getting this really nice kind of low harmonic weight to the DI guitars, the compression itself is actually really snappy and quite well suited to electric guitars, which thus, you know, Renaissance Axe. And as you will see, I've got an instance of Renaissance Axe on each guitar part. And altogether, what I feel that it does, especially at the end of that, like that little guitar chord, where it's 3 different chords kind of blended together, it just glues everything together. To me, it's much better than using like a guitar compressor pedal. It's much better. It's got that spanked it, that glue, that weight. And I just think it just brings everything together, tightens everything up, and it just makes the DI guitars sound better. Okay, so now that you've heard that, let's go on to number 2. The second plugin that I like to use from Waves quite a lot is the Vocal Rider. Now, this is actually 2 plugins, but they're basically like, I see them as the kind of the same thing. And you've got the Vocal Rider and you've got the Bass Rider. I love to use the Vocal Rider. Actually, the Vocal Rider is on this vocal, and it's been on my vocals on every video I've done, probably for the past 3-4 months or something like that. I like to use the Vocal Rider just to do little touches. I'm not going to show you an example because it's and there's tons out there, and you'll know what it does. Warren Hewitt uses it quite a lot, I notice, on Produce Like a Pro. And I personally find that if you stick the vocal rider at the end of your vocal chain after your compression, and you just do it doing little moves, just have it set to the level that kind of your max level you want it to hit, and then you'll just find it'll just do these last final little tweaks, because at the end of the day, you always want your vocal to sit proud in the mix. The great thing about Vocal Rider is that it's going to ensure that your vocal doesn't become too proud or not proud enough. It's just going to allow it to sit right where you want it in the mix. And at the end of the day, it is essentially just a clean, distortion-free, lazy man's automation plugin. Right, so that was number 2. Number 3, CLA Drums. Now, I use CLA Drums on toms. Always use CLA Drums on toms. I don't know what he did, but the presets are just awesome. Genuinely, I just go into like the tom presets, a little bit of like lows and highs. The compressor's fantastic as well. I know what I'll actually show you via the Hammerstein, right? As you can see, it adds a lot of harmonics, right? Especially in the compressor. As soon as you engage the compressor, it just adds a crap ton of harmonics. And look at all that low kind of harmonic weight that you're adding in there, which in my opinion gives the toms this really low, like thundering weight. And it completely changes the sound of the toms, and it's a sound that I adore on toms. And I'll be honest, I don't use it for anything else bar toms. I prefer other processing, but on toms it just works perfect. I'll have the settings on the screen, and just so you're aware, everything is level matched as well as the last example as well. So we've done 3. Number 4, Greg Wells Voice Centric. I only use it on backing vocals. The only reason that I use it on backing vocals is because I love the reverb and the delay and the doubler, basically the effects that he's got in that plugin. Greg is a fantastic and unbelievable engineer. One of the best out there, maybe one of the best ever actually. I love his work. And for whatever reason, whenever I stick the Greg Wells Voice Centric on backing vocals, I just find it's really easy to dial in the reverb. I just dial in the delay, whatever bit of doubler I want. And again, he's got like the tone options as well, where again, you can just just one knob and you can turn it. And then I'll just play about with it, and I'll just be like, right, how's it sitting in the mix? Right, okay. And I'll just sometimes I'll use the EQ function. Sometimes I won't use the EQ function, and I'll just use the reverbs and delays and stuff. I used to use it quite a lot on lead vocals back in the day, but I've got different chains for lead vocals now that I prefer. I use more plates now. But in terms of backing vocals, for me, it does the job. It's really quick, intuitive, simple to use, does the job. Mwah. Job done. Right, okay, so there are the 4 Waves plugins that I used on my new single. That's all I did, right? 4 sets of plugins. Now, there is a 5th plugin, and I thought I'd speak about it because just because I didn't use it on this single doesn't mean that I'll use it on subsequent singles, okay? On my last 2 singles, I used this plugin, and it is the Abbey Road Chambers. I love Abbey Road Chambers. Only issue with Abbey Road Chambers is that it's very CPU intensive, but in terms of sculpting reverb sims, it is unbelievable. I love the sound of it. The steed's fantastic. You've got the drive function as well. It just has a way of imprinting a certain sound. If you want to hear what it sounds like, check out my last single called Change. I'm actually in the process of remixing it using the process I'm using now, because me being me, I don't like the sound of both singles. All the stuff I've done prior I don't like. But if you want to hear how I've used the Abbey Road Chambers, then listen to Change and listen to the electric guitars, the kind of backing electric guitars. Most of the reverbs are the Abbey Road Chambers. And it just, honestly, guys, if you've not tried the Abbey Road Chambers, try it out and just experiment with it. Just go through the presets, and there's so many different miking options and so many different chambers and rooms. I just got very distracted, especially with the new Eventide SP 2016. That is a phenomenal reverb. Honestly, it's a phenomenal reverb. The presets, chef kiss galore. And I was also having a play about with the Arturia, the one that looks like the Roland Space Echo. I think it is the Roland Space Echo. I was using that as well. That's fantastic as well. Honestly, there's tons of great plates. I even used the Arturia, the EMT one as well. Honestly, I was experimenting with loads of different reverbs and delays, and I'm blessed to have so many reverbs and delays. But the Abbey Road Chambers is one that I might not use all the time, but I kind of know when I'll have a use for it. So there you go, right? There is 5 Waves plugins that I genuinely do use. I have used, and I probably still will continue to use in the future, right? I know I give Waves a hard time, and you know that I'm not going to change my views on the Waves update plan. I'm not going to change my views on their analog emulations and kind of ways they can improve their plugins, and overall just my feelings on Waves. But however, right, tools are tools. I don't care that these tools were made by Waves. All I care about is that they work. They do work. They're great tools, and if you want to try them out, then go and try them out. If they work for you, they work for you. But know what, guys? Just as a bit of fun, how about you tell me your top 5 favourite Waves plugins that you use on every mix? Comment that down below. Let's have a bit of a discussion. And guys, remember, if you do want to hear my new single, which is called Unnaturally True, there is a link in the description. It'll take you to Spotify. Stick on a playlist if you like it. Let me know your thoughts about the single, what you thought about it, if you liked it. I've actually been getting, this is probably the first single that I've done where I've had many comments from people saying, no, Paul, I think this is a stellar mix. Actually, one of the best that you've done. I'm happy with it. Other people are happy with it. And I think I'm slowly getting myself into a little bit more confident myself. Does this mean that Paul Third is turning into a pro mixer? No, no. It just means that I'm finding a process that's working for me, and I'm starting to get a little bit of consistency in there. And know what? You might listen to it and think it sounds shit. But however, life is subjective. So check that out if you've got time. Leave your comments down below. Consider joining the channel and also maybe becoming a Patreon member so you can get access to that mix multi-track session as well. My name is Paul Third. Have a good one. I'll see you next week.